Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. So, in the last class we discussed about factors affecting enzyme activity. So, now let's discuss about the topic enzyme inhibition. Okay, this enzyme inhibition topic is for the second BSc biochemistry students. And now let's start the topic enzyme inhibition. For every enzyme activity, inhibition is also very important. That means enzyme activity at certain period of time it should be inhibited. Okay, or in few conditions enzyme inhibition with different factors will be occurred. And if you see enzyme inhibition, how many types of enzyme inhibitions are there? Let's see. Okay, the chemical substances which inactivate the enzymes are called as inhibitors, and the process is known as enzyme inhibition. That means any chemical substance which inactivate the enzymes, that means it will stop the enzyme activity, and those substances are called as inhibitors, and the process by which these inhibitors are working is called as enzyme inhibition. The inhibitor may be organic or inorganic in nature. That means inhibitors are both organic and inorganic inhibitors are seen. And if we classify this enzyme inhibition, majorly these are of three types: reversible inhibition, irreversible inhibition, and allosteric inhibition. Reversible inhibition, irreversible inhibition, and allosteric inhibition. And these are further divided into, see this, reversible inhibition is again further divided into competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition, uncompetitive inhibition. Okay, that means enzyme inhibition has three types: reversible, irreversible, and allosteric. And reversible inhibition is again of three types, that is competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition, and uncompetitive inhibition. Now let's see what is reversible inhibition. What is reversible inhibition? The inhibitor binds non-covalently with the enzymes, and the enzyme inhibition can be reversed if the inhibitor is removed. That means whenever this inhibitor binds with the enzyme, that particular enzyme activity of that enzyme will be inhibited. But whenever that particular inhibitor is removed from that enzyme, again that enzyme can show its enzyme activity. That means that's why these inhibitors which undergo reverse inhibition, they bind non-covalently with the enzymes, and they after removal of that particular inhibitor, again that enzyme is capable of producing enzyme activity. Okay, and this reverse inhibition is again of three types: competitive, non-competitive, and uncompetitive inhibition. Now let's see what is competitive inhibition. What is competitive inhibition? The inhibitor is closely resembles the real substrate and is regarded as substrate analog. That means competitive inhibitors are similar to the substrate. That means as these inhibitors are similar to the substrate, instead of substrate, there is chance of binding of this competitive inhibitor to the enzyme, ultimately forming enzyme inhibition. Okay, as it is similar to substrate, we call it as substrate analog. Okay, here what will happen? Generally, the substrate binds with the enzyme at the active site. But in this inhibition, the inhibitor will hold the active site of the enzyme. So the enzyme is not available for the substrate to bind. So the enzyme is not available to the substrate to bind. The relative concentration of the substrate and inhibitor and their respective affinity with the enzyme determines the degree of competitive inhibition. Basically, what will happen? Usually, at the time of enzyme inhibition, enzyme requires a substrate to act. Okay, so substrate will bind to the enzyme at the active site. Okay, that particular substrate will bind to the enzyme at the active site. But in this competitive inhibition, what will happen? Due to the structural or due to the resemblance of the inhibitor to the substrate, that particular inhibitor will bind at the active site of the enzyme. And by this, what will happen? There will be no attachment space for the substrate, and substrate cannot bind to the enzyme as active site is already occupied with the inhibitor. Okay, and there will be no enzyme substrate complex formation, since there will be no product formation or enzyme activity. Here, relative concentration of the substrate and inhibitor and their respective affinity with the enzyme will show the degree of competitive inhibition. That means degree of competitive inhibition or the intensity of the competitive inhibition is always dependent on the relative concentration of the substrate and inhibitor and their respective affinity. That means if substrate have more affinity towards the enzyme, obviously inhibitor cannot bind to the active site. Okay, then what will happen? Degree of competitive inhibition will be very low. In case if that inhibitor have more affinity towards the enzyme, what will happen? Obviously enzyme activity will be inhibited and degree of competitive inhibition will be very high. Okay, the inhibition could be overcome by a high substrate concentration. That means if as the affinity affect this inhibition, affinity of the substrate may affect the inhibition, and also high substrate concentration. That means if concentration of substrate is more when compared to the inhibitor, obviously inhibition cannot be done. And in this type of inhibition, Km value increases whereas Vmax remains unchanged. Here Km value will be increased and Vmax will be unchanged, and it is most significant in clinical pharmacy. That means this particular inhibition is have significant role in clinical pharmacy. And one of the best example for this competitive inhibition is succinate dehydrogenase. Succinate dehydrogenase. If you see the diagram, you can understand. Here, basically enzyme and substrate should bind and form a enzyme substrate complex, which will result in the formation of product, after which enzyme will be dissociated from that particular product. But what will happen here? Enzyme will be bound with the inhibitor, forming enzyme inhibitor complex, and it will be inhibiting the enzyme activity. Finally, there will be no product formation. You see this diagram? This substrate and inhibitor both are similar to each other. Okay, these are similar in their structure, and instead of substrate, inhibitor will be bound. Inhibitor will be bound and it will form enzyme inhibitor complex. Ultimately, no product will be formed. And if we draw a graph for the substrate concentration on x-axis and velocity of the reaction on y-axis, we'll get a graph as here. If you observe, as a point explained here, Km value will increase and Vmax remains same. If you see the diagram, Vmax will be same and Km will be increasing. Okay. And the next type of reversible inhibition is non-competitive inhibition. Non-competitive inhibition. The inhibitor binds at a site other than the active site on the enzyme surface. Okay. Here what happens? The inhibitor will bind at a site other than the active site on the enzyme surface. Okay, in the competitive inhibition, what happened? Inhibitor directly bound to the active site of the enzyme. Okay, here non-competitive inhibitors, they will bind to the enzyme but not at the active site. Other than the active site, these particular inhibitors will bind it any site of the enzyme surface, and the binding impairs the enzyme function. That means due to the attachment or due to the binding of this particular inhibitor, that particular enzyme will stop its function. Okay, and the inhibitor has no structural resemblance with the substrate. That means, as we have seen in the competitive inhibition, substrate and inhibitor both are structurally similar. That's why it is easy to, that means inhibitor is binding to the active site. But here in this non-competitive inhibition, these non-competitive inhibitors are not similar to the substrate, and these are not bound at the active site also. And in this type, the inhibitor binds on the enzyme, which means other than the active site, not on the active site. Okay, at other site without interfering the enzyme substrate binding. That means it will bind other than the active site, and this enzyme will not be stopped to bind with the substrate. That means enzyme will bind to substrate and to the inhibitor at the same time. Okay, that means it will form enzyme substrate complex and also it will bind to the inhibitor also. But the catalysis is prevented, possibly due to the disturbance in the enzyme conformation. That means what will happen? The catalysis will be prevented. Okay, there is no prevention of enzyme substrate complex formation here, but there is prevention of the enzyme catalysis. That means it will affect on the major function of the enzyme. Okay, the inhibitor generally binds with the enzyme as well as the enzyme substrate complex, and the overall reaction is non-competitive inhibition. That means here what will happen, this particular inhibitor will binds with the enzyme and also with the enzyme substrate complex. Okay, and this non-competitive inhibition is again of two types: reversible non-competitive inhibition and irreversible non-competitive inhibition. And it is again of two types: reversible non-competitive inhibition and irreversible non-competitive inhibition. For non-competitive inhibition, the Km value is unchanged while Vmax is lowered. If you see the diagram here, the inhibitor is bound onto the one side or on the surface of the enzyme, and on the active side the substrate is bound. Finally, enzyme substrate inhibitor complex is formed. Enzyme substrate inhibitor complex is formed. Here, see the reaction. Enzyme substrate will form enzyme substrate complex, which result in the formation of product. But in case of non-competitive inhibition, this enzyme will be inhibited by an inhibitor and it will bound to the enzyme surface, and on the other side this enzyme will also bind with the substrate, forming enzyme substrate inhibitor complex. Finally, due to the action of this inhibitor, what will happen? Enzyme catalysis will not occur and product formation is not seen. And best examples for this non-competitive inhibition or the non-competitive inhibitors are like heavy metal ions like Ag plus, Pb plus 2, Hg2 plus, etc. And these heavy metal ions can non-competitively inhibit the enzymes binding with cysteine sulfahydryl groups. Okay, that means these act on the enzyme by binding with cysteine sulfahydryl groups present on that particular enzymes. Okay, here what happens? Km value is unchanged and Vmax is lowered. Km value is unchanged. Okay, one is before the enzyme activity and after inhibition, Km value is not changed, whereas Vmax will be lowered. Okay, one first graph is plotting is for before the inhibitor and next one is for the inhibitor, and the next one is uncompetitive inhibition. Uncompetitive inhibition, we have seen two kinds of reversible inhibition, that is competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition. Now uncompetitive inhibition, this is the other type of reversible reaction and it is not common. That means it is one of the type of reversible reaction and which is not commonly seen and which is very rare in condition. Okay, in this type the inhibitor will bind with enzyme substrate complex only but not with the enzyme. That means in non-competitive inhibition, what we have seen, that particular inhibitor can bind to enzyme and also to the enzyme substrate complex. But here in uncompetitive inhibition, the inhibitor can only bind with the enzyme substrate complex and not with the enzyme in alone. Okay, and in this type both Km value and Vmax values of the enzymes are decreased. Okay, both the factors will be decreased. And uncompetitive inhibition in aryl sulfatase by hydrazine substrate It is the best example for uncompetitive inhibition. Okay, if you see here, this inhibitor will come and bind to the enzyme substrate complex directly, and enzyme substrate inhibitor complex will be produced inhibiting the enzyme catalysis, and there will be no production of there will be no formation of product. Here enzyme substrate complex will be formed, and to that inhibitor will be attached. And next one is irreversible inhibition. We have done with the reversible inhibition, in which we discussed about competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition and uncompetitive inhibition. Now let's move on to the irreversible inhibition. And what is the difference between this reversible and irreversible inhibition? Here the inhibitors bind covalently with enzyme and inactive them, which is irreversible. These inhibitors are usually toxic, poisonous substances. And here, what is the major difference between reversible and irreversible inhibition? In reversible inhibition, the only during the presence of the inhibitor on enzyme surface, that particular inhibition will be carried. And after the separation or the removal of the inhibitor from the enzyme, that particular enzyme will be again into its action and it will start enzyme catalysis. But coming to this irreversible inhibition, this inhibitor will bind covalently with the enzyme, and there will be no removal of the component. Even though if it is removed, the enzyme will not show any enzyme catalysis after the once if this particular enzyme once get in contact with the inhibitor, again it will not show any enzyme catalysis if even though the inhibitor is removed or not removed from its surface. Okay, hope you got the point. Here indoacetate is an irreversible inhibitor of the enzymes like papain and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. What is this? Indoacetate is one of the irreversible inhibitor of the enzyme papain and also for the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. So these are the two enzymes on which this indoacetate, which is a reversible inhibitor, can act. Okay, this indoacetate combines with sulfahydryl groups at the active site of the enzyme and they will make it inactive. Okay, that means this indoacetate will bind to the SH sulfahydryl groups present on the active site and that enzyme activity will be stopped. Diisopropyl fluorophosphate DFP is a nerve gas developed by German scientists during Second World War. Okay, this is one of the poisonous chemical developed by German scientists during Second World War. Okay, this DFP, that is diisopropyl fluorophosphate, it is a reversible bind. It reversibly binds with enzyme containing serine at the active site. That means it will completely bind with enzyme, all the enzymes which contain serine at the active site. While discussing about active site, there we seen a point. What is it? Serine is the most common amino acid or amino acid cluster which is commonly seen in active sites. Almost all active site will have serine. That is, it is the most commonly seen amino acid at the active site of the enzymes. Okay, so they developed this chemical diisopropyl fluorophosphate for the usage of this nerve gas during the war. Okay, they wanted to use this chemical in the war field. That's why they developed this, so that uh, the person who inhale this gas, what will happen? All the enzymes in that particular person which have serine in their active site, what will happen? That particular enzymes will be inactivated, and metabolism of that particular person will be decreased. Finally, that person will be unconscious in condition, and in adverse conditions it may also lead to death. Okay, and mostly this chemical may act on serine proteases, acetylcholine esterases. These are the few enzymes on which this particular diisopropyl fluorophosphate chemical can act upon. Okay, and the other example is disulfiram. This disulfiram can also simply called as antabus or antabus, and this is a drug used in the treatment of alcoholism. Okay, that means a person who is an alcoholic, in treating that particular patient, this drug antabus is used, and it irreversibly inhibits the enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase. Okay, by acting on enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase, this drug will act. The penicillin antibiotics act as irreversible inhibitors for serine containing enzymes and block the bacterial cell wall synthesis. That means, how this penicillin antibiotic will act on us, that as penicillin is an antibiotic and it will act on bacterial infections. Okay, so if any person have any bacterial infections, that particular patient is given penicillin antibiotic. Okay, and this penicillin, after entering that particular patient body, what will it do? It will irreversibly inhibit the serine containing enzymes which are responsible for the development of the bacterial cell wall. Okay, if the enzyme inhibits that bacterial cell wall enzymes, what will happen? Uh, there will be no proper development of the bacterial cell wall, and obviously without proper bacterial cell wall, what will happen? That bacterial will get inactive, and that bacteria will die. Okay, this is the major mechanism how this penicillin antibiotic act on bacterial infections. Okay, irreversible inhibitors are frequently used to identify amino acid residues at the active site of the enzymes. Okay, that means these irreversible inhibitors are not only responsible for the inhibition of any enzyme, these irreversible inhibitors are also helpful for the identification of amino acid residues or amino acid clusters which are present at the active site of different enzymes, and also to understand the mechanism of enzyme action. That means, by using these irreversible inhibitors, we can also understand a mechanism of enzyme action with their help. That means, inhibition by these irreversible inhibitors, we have different kinds of importance also, and also some negative impacts are also there. We can use this irreversible inhibition process for different kinds of biological importances. Okay, and the next one is a small topic, suicide inhibition. Okay, suicide inhibition. Suicide inhibition is a specialized form of irreversible inhibition. Okay, that means the suicide inhibition is a specialized form of irreversible inhibition. In this case, the original inhibitor, that means the structural analog or competitive inhibitor, is converted to a more potent form of the same enzymes, and that can be inhibited. That means what is the action of the suicidal inhibition or suicidal inhibitors is, these are the what happens here, the original inhibitor, okay, the normal inhibitor is converted into more potent form, that means more stronger inhibitor by the same enzyme. That means if you see the example allopurinol, if you see the example allopurinol, it is used in the treatment of gout, and this allopurinol, an inhibitor of xanthine oxidase, gets converted into alloxanthine, a more effective inhibitor of this enzyme. And the use of certain purine and pyrimidine analogs in cancer therapy is also explained on the basis of suicide inhibition. These are the two examples. If you see this allopurinol is an inhibitor of the enzyme xanthine oxidase. Okay, and this enzyme xanthine oxidase will convert allopurinol into alloxanthine, which is a more effective inhibitor of the xanthine oxidase. That means this enzyme itself will make that inhibitor more effective and more potential to act against that particular enzyme. So that is the suicide inhibition. That means it is allowing itself to get inhibited. Suicide means what is the meaning of suicide? Self killing. Okay, self killing is suicide. Okay, here why we named this as suicide inhibition? That enzyme itself is making that inhibitor more potential, so that inhibition will be very high. Okay, this is in contrast to the original inhibitors, which will bind reversibly. Okay, that means lesser potent inhibitor is converted into more potential inhibitor. And also certain purine and pyrimidine analogs will also undergo this suicide inhibition, and based on this suicide inhibition of purine and pyrimidine analogs, these are used in the cancer therapy. Okay, cancer therapy. And the next one is allosteric inhibitors. Allosteric inhibitors. Some of the enzymes possesses additional sites known as allosteric site. Okay, that means other than active site, few allosteric sites will be present besides the active site. Such enzymes are known as allosteric enzymes. The allosteric sites are unique places on the enzyme molecules. That means additional to the active sites, few enzymes will contain allosteric sites. Okay, that means other than active site, any site present on the enzyme, it is regarded as allosteric site. And such enzymes are regarded as allosteric enzymes. And these allosteric sites are unique places which are present on the enzyme molecules. And certain substances referred to as allosteric model factors or effectors or modifiers, and these bind at the allosteric site and regulate the enzyme activity. Okay, what is the purpose of this allosteric site? Few substances which are called as allosteric model factors or allosteric effectors or allosteric modifiers, these bind at the allosteric site and regulate the enzyme activity. Okay, that means these allosteric sites are designed for the attachment of allosteric effectors or allosteric modifiers onto that particular site, and on binding of these allosteric effectors or allosteric modifiers, this enzyme activity will be regulated. Okay, the enzyme activity is increased when positive allosteric effector binds at the allosteric site known as activator site. Okay, that means this allosteric sites are not only responsible for the inhibition, these are also responsible for the enzyme activity or increase in the enzyme activity. Okay, that means by if the allosteric effector or modifier is a positive allosteric effector, enzyme activity will be increased. Okay, and on the other hand, a negative allosteric factor binds at the allosteric site called inhibitor site and inhibits the enzyme activity. That means every enzyme, few enzymes will have allosteric sites. Okay, and these allosteric sites are these are the sites other than the active site on an enzyme, and enzymes which consist of this allosteric sites are called as allosteric enzymes, and this particular allosteric site will be called as activator site whenever an allosteric effector, a positive allosteric effector binds to that allosteric site, and by attachment of this positive allosteric effector, enzyme activity will be increased, and in case any negative allosteric factor bind to that particular allosteric site, we call that allosteric site as inhibitor site, and ultimately enzyme inhibition or enzyme activity will be inhibited. Okay, this is how enzyme activity inhibition is seen in different enzymes, and the what are the types of enzyme inhibitions? Reversible, irreversible and allosteric. And reversible is again of 3 types. What are they? Competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition and uncompetitive inhibition. And coming to irreversible inhibition, we also see a specialized form of inhibition, that is suicidal inhibition. And in allosteric inhibition, it might be positive or it might be negative. Okay, inhibition means stopping the enzyme activity. Simply we can tell it as stopping of the enzyme activity. And how we can stop this enzyme activity? By different inhibition methods. And the first one is reversible inhibition. Reversible inhibition means that particular inhibitor will bind to the active site, and after removal of that inhibitor, again that enzyme is ready for the enzyme activity. Okay, and here coming to competitive inhibition, what happens? Substrate which is uh, inhibitor which is similar to the substrate will bind at the active site. That means due to the structural resemblance of the inhibitor, enzyme will allow inhibitor to bind at the active site and it will be inhibited from the enzyme activity. Okay. If you see the diagram, you can understand. Enzyme, if enzyme substrate binds, it will form enzyme substrate complex, but here enzyme inhibitor will bind and enzyme inhibitor complex will be formed. Okay, and by this what will happen? Km value of the reaction will be increased and Vmax remains unchanged. Best example is succinate dehydrogenase. And here this inhibition is dependent on the concentration of the substrate and affinity of the affinity of the substrate to bind with the enzyme. Based on these two factors, degree of competitive inhibition will be determined. Okay. If you see the graph, concentration of substrate is drawn on the x-axis, taken on the x-axis, and velocity of the reaction is taken on the y-axis. Here you can see two graph plot lines. Okay, and as Km value will increase and Vmax remains unchanged. Here what is happening? Taking this, if you see the graph, Vmax for both the plots, that means before inhibition and after inhibition, both the values of Vmax are unchanged, whereas Km value got increased. Okay, this is how we can get a graph for this competitive inhibition. And the next is non-competitive inhibition. Here what happens? This inhibitor will bind other than the active site. That means it will bind at other site which is present on the enzyme surface, and by the attachment of this inhibitor, enzyme activity will be stopped. Okay, and this inhibitor can bind to enzyme and also to the enzyme substrate complex, and it is again reversible non-competitive inhibition and irreversible non-competitive inhibition. If you see the diagram, this inhibitor will bind to the enzyme on the other site of the enzyme, and enzyme substrate inhibitor complex will be formed. Either it can bind to the enzyme or it can bind to the enzyme substrate complex. Even though if it bind to the enzyme, there will be no stop for the attachment of the substrate to the enzyme, but function of the enzyme will be changed. Okay, and here examples are heavy metal ions, and these act on the enzymes which bind with cysteine sulfhydryl groups. Okay, and if you see the graph here, what happens? Km value is unchanged and Vmax is lowered. If you see the plot before inhibition and after inhibition, Vmax is changed, decreased, whereas Km value is the same in both conditions. Okay, coming to uncompetitive inhibition, here it is a rare kind of irreversible inhibition. Here inhibitor will bind with enzyme substrate complex only. Okay, it will only bind with the enzyme substrate complex only. Okay, and coming to irreversible inhibition, this irreversible inhibition these inhibitors bind covalently with the enzyme and inactivate them, and this process is irreversible. We cannot again reverse the enzyme action. Okay, and a few examples are like action of indoacetate on papain and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzymes, and action of diisopropanoyl fluorophosphate, and this particular component will act on the any enzyme which contains serine at its active site, and few such enzymes are serine proteases, acetylcholine esterase, and disulfiram. This is used in the treatment of alcoholism. This also act on the enzyme aldehyde dehydrogenase, and penicillin antibiotic is also a irreversible inhibitor which act on the serine containing enzymes which are responsible for the bacterial cell wall synthesis. Okay. Apart from this, suicidal inhibition is also a type of irreversible inhibition in which the original inhibitor is converted into more powerful and more potent form of the inhibitor by the enzyme itself. Okay, that's why we call it as suicidal inhibition, and best example is allopurinol. Allopurinol is the component which act on the enzyme xanthine oxidase, and this xanthine oxidase will convert allopurinol to alloxanthine, which is the more effective inhibitor of the xanthine oxidase itself. Okay, and the next one is last one is allosteric inhibitors. These allosteric inhibitors are the inhibitors which bind on to the enzyme other than at the active site. That means any few enzymes will contain special or additional sites, okay, and other than the active site, and these enzymes are called as allosteric enzymes, and inhibitors will bind to the allosteric site, and these particular components are called as effectors or modifiers. Okay, allosteric effectors or modifiers, and these might be positive components or negative components. Okay, these might be positive components or negative components. Okay, if the positive allosteric effector bind, we call that particular allosteric site as activator site, and enzyme activity will be increased. And if negative allosteric factor bind to the allosteric site, we call it as inhibitor site, and the enzyme activity will be inhibited. This is all about enzyme inhibition. Okay, please keep the material with you while listening to the class, and if you have any doubts, please contact me. Thank you, students.